Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for today's free webinar session presented by CADTALK. Today's topic is about how to optimize your engineering and sorry. Today's topic is about how to optimize your engineering to manufacturing handoff with CADTALK. We estimate that today's webinar will take up about 35 to 40 minutes of your time, including some time at the end for a Q&A. Our webinar is being recorded and will be available on demand after the live session. All attendees will receive a follow-up email after the webinar is complete with a link to access the presentation. In the chat, you can find links to our social media, website, as well as a link to our Calendly where you can schedule a 30-minute meeting with one of our experts at Sabre to discuss any questions you might have. With that being said, I'd like everybody to submit questions through the question panel or chat during the session or wait until the end for the Q&A. Please remember to stay muted during the session unless otherwise prompted. Now, I'd like to introduce you to Jeff Brickler and Dylan Olson from CADTALK.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining today for the joint webinar hosted by Sabre and CADTALK to optimize your engineering and manufacturing handoff. Go ahead and get started. So just a little bit about CADTALK, some housekeeping in terms of who CADTALK is. CADTALK is the world's first intelligent integration between that transforms CAD, PDM, and PLM. So engineering systems, a lot of acronyms there. So a lot of engineering systems, bills of material, item master records, into manufacturing bills of material in Microsoft Business Central. CADTALK's been around for nearly 20 years, nearly 2 decades, and we have customers on nearly every continent. So we have hundreds of customers worldwide, including many Business Central customers, and we have millions of BOMs processed yearly. So that's a little bit about CADTALK. And we're based in Cincinnati, Ohio. That's where our offices are. But we have a distributed workforce in terms of people all over the United States and Europe and elsewhere. So today, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Jeff Brickler. I've been with CADTALK about 10 years, and I'd like to introduce my colleague here, Dylan Olson, who's our technical lead, who's been working on projects as well as doing our technical demonstrations. Dylan, thanks for joining us today. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
Okay, go ahead and get started. All right, so I've been at CADTALK nearly, this is my 10th year this year. I think it just had this month, my 10th year anniversary. And so I've worked with customers originally on the projects. And so while I'm not from a manufacturing company, I did hear a lot about the pain points for managing bills of material in ERP, and especially with Microsoft Business Central. Dylan, I know that you have a unique experience because not only have you worked with customers, but you have also been in manufacturing itself. So can you talk a little bit about your real world experience, like in the manufacturing company, but also with customers on what are the pain points, the disconnect between engineering and ERP, in this case, Microsoft Business Central?
Yeah, Jeff. So from my experience, I worked as a manufacturing engineer for a little over a decade, and then as a CAD designer for a few years before that, before coming to CADTALK. And, as a manufacturing engineer, I'd be the one on the shop floor getting flagged down to go over to the assembly line because parts aren't lining up. And so, reviewing the shop order and then finding out that, a change was made in engineering, but not fully articulated to everyone downstream to know that ERP would need to be updated. So, causing some rework because the information was out of sync. But then, when things did happen the right way, it got tough because you'd have to take that information from CAD. There's many different exports and stuff you can do, and then kind of stare and compare between 2 screens to get that information accurate in the ERP after that change has been executed from engineering. And so it's kind of a brute force method, more or less, where you're spending a lot of time doing that. And, where the information is extremely valuable in the ERP, but no one really wants to do that kind of tedious, mind-numbing work.
Right. I'm sure that no one feels like they went to university and studied physics and and my calculus to say, hey, I'm going to be entering this data manually, typing, cutting, pasting, or whatever into an ERP system.
Right. And, there are some ways to be a little more efficient with it, but you still got to take all that time to be sure you get all of these templates set up correct for them to be pushed into Business Central effectively to get all of that information updated.
So what are the what are the effects of, I mean, when I talk to customers, I talk to them, to your point, the biggest complaint is like just the manual work. Like no one wants to do that manual work. It's brutal. But that's the kind of the surface level pain point in my mind is, and in the sense of like it goes much more deeply in terms of that, because yes, the entering the data manually, it's mind numbing and it's boring and it's tedious and all of that, and getting efficiencies is very important and very valuable. But really, what are the more system-wide effects that really, because if I'm doing the work, I hate it, but really it's just me. It's localized just to me. But if a company can pay for my salary and I can do it, then they don't. It doesn't really matter. So, but what are the sort of knockoff effects? What happens? What are the problems that you get that people don't think about beyond the manual, tedious work?
Yeah, with doing it manually, it's so easy to have a keystroke mistake, especially with how similar a lot of our part numbers can be between products and stuff. And, me being dyslexic, it's pretty easy for me to key something in incorrectly. And so, with that happening, best case scenario, you get away with just a little bit of rework, right? But more often than not, you're going to have to really push out the timeline of when you'll be able to complete that because you have purchased the incorrect materials and things like that.
So it sounds like the problems are, like you said, rework, longer lead times. That's all has costs involved. What I used to tell to people is like, you can do the job accurately, but you can't do it fast. You can do it fast, but not accurate, right? You can't have both of those things. So the challenge being is that you're trying to balance accuracy with mistakes, and the lead times matter, and how long it takes to get to the shop floor affects when it can get to the customer and out the door, and you can get paid. So all of that that manual work, yes, it's tedious and it's not valuable in terms of like people don't feel valuable doing it, but the data is valuable because the result downstream is significant, right? Causes not just expense, but also rework and then, missed timelines.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're thinking about like, well, why would I do this, right? Why would I care about taking the data out of engineering to manufacturing? And we talked a little bit about this before, but like, what are some, you worked with a lot of customers, and I have as well. What do customers say like after they're done, right? So they decide, I want to do this, mostly because of the pain of manual data entry and some of the downstream effects. They say, well, why would they want to do it? What's the benefit they're going to get?
Yeah, so the biggest why is I have this information over here that I've already done the exact work that I now need to go do over here. So driving that kind of job fulfillment of not having to go and redo what someone has already done now in another system, but then being able to know that the information that is being integrated is going to be correct. So getting a lot cleaner data, and then the flow from one to the other to be able to transform that into everything that's necessary to create a production ready bill of material without having to go through multiple different screens in the ERP, and really just the time saving of not having to have someone do it over here, kick it off to another department that is now going to go try to execute all of those same changes now inside of Business Central manually.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about like the value of that clean data, right? The cleaner that data is, the more accurate it is. We talked about this. We talked about this in the sense of you have kind of two scenarios. I can have really accurate data, but then it's going to take me a really long time, or I can have less accurate data and do it really
Yep.
fast. And then, so it's a trade-off, right? I'm always trying to balance these things. But we talked about, the cleaner data, the cleaner you're trying to get the best of both worlds, right? The cleanest data as possible, but as fast as you can. But we know that a cleaner data gets you correct shop orders, correct, shop orders, job orders, whatever you call them. The paperwork that the guys on the shop floor get are accurate, and they don't have the wrong parts ordered. I mean, imagine I've had a customer say, what happens if you get the wrong part ordered? That's one problem, right? I ordered the wrong part, and it's a 6-month lead time part. And then I get it in, and guess what? I find out it's the wrong part. Then what happens? I got 6 more months, right? Delayed 6 more months. Or worse,
unhappy customers.
Yeah, right. I mean, we're all in the business of happy customers, and you got unhappy customers. So you got to call them and say, yeah, we made a mistake. It's 6 more months or more, right? Because of now you have to put that project on the back burner to get the part in, and that causes other delays. Or worse, you have the incorrect quantities in there, and you got a purchase part. I had customers happened. Purchase part costs $20, $30, $40, $50,000. You have 2 on there instead of 1. Well, guess what happens? I don't need 1. Yeah, I just spent $50,000, $100,000 and on a purchase part I don't need. I need 1 of them, but not 2. So then you're dealing with can I return it? Can I scrap it? Can I modify it? Can I reuse it in some way, right? And of course, the time savings. The thing that I think when I talk to people, I don't know if Dylan, maybe you have real experience doing this when you were in manufacturing, but people think, look, time savings. It's really easy to measure. Okay, I'm going to enter this bill of material. Takes me, 30 minutes, an hour. Okay, whatever. And they think, there, it's done. They can measure that. And let's say I get something like CADTALK and I put it in. Oh, that hour is now, 10 minutes. I saved 50 minutes. I got, all that savings. That's the value. I think people don't, it's harder to measure is the time savings isn't just in the time to get the data in there. It, of course, is what happens after it leaves you, right? Whose other time is wasted because of mistakes or long lead times or any of those other things?
Yeah, that's correct. Getting the information in there is one thing, but now that it is in there, it's executable by, all the downstream functions, whether that's supply chain, production planning, inventory control, all of that type of stuff.
So what happens if a mistake goes through? Let's say that I did it really fast, right? I'm really good at it, or I think I am. I do it really fast. I make a mistake. So I'm really skilled doing it manually. So I've maybe developed some spreadsheets and stuff, and I think, oh, this is great. It's got a great process. It's much better than it used to be, but I still have mistakes. How does that affect other people's time? What have you seen? Is that is it, just a few extra minutes, or is it hours, days, months? What does that look like?
Yeah, it depends on the mistake, right? So if now we get purchase recs inside the system to go buy something and don't know that it's the wrong component because we assume that the demand is correct, now we have bought the wrong component and we aren't going to find out until we're putting that product together on the shop floor. And then, same with causing rework if it was a manufactured item on the shop floor where we now made the wrong part, things don't go together as designed.
So it's really more than just the data to get from engineering into manufacturing, right? It's the savings can be really system-wide, company-wide. Because it's all the things are connected, right? And then the last thing I want to talk about is the value of the data. You mentioned that just from a human standpoint, from a job satisfaction, it's nice not have to re-enter data all the time and be able to use the data that you have in engineering. And engineering has a very robust process in terms of quality of data because it's got lots of checks, right? And then you're also using the CAD tools to help drive that. One of the things that I've seen recently, especially with generative AI, is using the data you have in your system to make better decisions. That's always been the case, but even sort of more important these days with ChatGPT and other AI systems. So the foundation of these systems are data, right? The quality of the data. And so what you can get with an AI journey, and every manufacturing company is going to have to go on their own AI journey. The most important thing that you can do as a step one as a manufacturing company is to ensure that your processes are giving you the smartest, highest quality data. And integrations do that, right? Integrations from engineering into manufacturing do that, because now you're only entering at one time. You have a robust process to get that data in there, and then of course it flows naturally into the Business Central to allow for that AI story, the AI data to use in the future. Okay, so Dylan, I think we're going to talk a little bit about like the importance of a bill of material. So I remember when I first started at CADTalk, not coming from a manufacturing background, that I was learning that bills of materials are the most important thing to a manufacturing company. It was like everything. So can you tell me a little bit more about why that's the case? Like, why does it matter so much, the bill of material?
Yeah, so ERP systems, they're large, and there's many different modules to them. So we have, finance, inventory, purchasing, all of those different modules inside there. But for a manufacturing company, without utilizing a bill of material, it's kind of you're not getting the value out of that ERP system that you could truly have. You can do it without a BOM, but you're going to have POs that come in and they're not really going to have the correct information on them, because they'll have kind of, like dummy parts or just bucket line items to a vendor to buy things. And then when it comes in, we don't really know what to inventory this stuff as. We have no way of consuming it. So you don't get any of that demand planning or anything. You don't get good purchase recs. So when you have the bill of material in there, you have a structured BOM. So when you run scheduling against that BOM, what all you need to buy and when, or what you need to make by a certain time to assemble that finished product.
So the bill of material really is the driver for manufacturing companies, right? The whole business is around that. Like you said, purchase requisitions, orders, manufacturing steps, costing, all of that's really tied to the bill of material.
Yeah, without it, you're kind of taking a guess, right? Because you can track labor certain ways and stuff without it. But with this, and utilizing BOM costing and all of that, you really get that history of everything that you need to be able to cost things more effectively in the future.
So Dylan, let's show them what it looks like, right? I mean, people have questions like, well, how do I do it? What does it look like? How easy is it? Those sorts of things. So Dylan, if you share your screen, that would be great to share your screen and let them see what that looks like.
Yeah, let me know when you have it.
Yes, I see it.
All right. So here today, I'm going to show CADTalk taking this gear train assembly and transforming it into Business Central to create or update items, create or update production BOMs. And with CADTalk, we have the ability to work with production BOMs or assembly BOMs and projects inside of Business Central. So here inside of SolidWorks, you'll see CADTalk enabled as an add-in, just like any other add-in. Here I have my Business Central information. So I will log into Business Central and I'll log in using my own user account. So we'll know we're logged in when the login is no longer actionable. So what I'm going to do, kind of day in the life of an engineer, I have a finished design here that is ready to be consumed by the rest of the company. So I will click Load SolidWorks File. You'll notice I get a prompt for the configuration selection from SolidWorks. I'm going to pick the 4 gear set here. That is what I have displayed. I'll say OK. Now what CADTalk did, it grabbed all that data from CAD, grabbing all the same related data in Business Central and then transforming it to either update or propose what we're going to put for all of these item properties and BOMs and routings. And so inside CADTalk here, you'll see kind of that.
I'll pause you right here, just so I want to make sure that I kind of understood and it's clear what we're doing is. So from CADTalk, it's directly inside the CAD system here in SolidWorks. And when you hit that button, right, it has that live connection with Business Central. And so it looks at everything that's in SolidWorks here. and then I guess it talks to Business Central and then figures out kind of like what the part numbers are, like how many there are, like what data exists in Business Central. Really just getting those two connected, right? Be able
Yep.
to do the lookups.
Yeah. So we're kind of the pipe between SolidWorks and Business Central, right? And so we're connected to Business Central, so it's using that ID from SolidWorks to know what our part number is in Business Central, and it'll return that part if it exists in Business Central. Otherwise, we will run the transformations of what we need to set, like all of the mandatory required fields. We're working to the same validation rules that Business Central has, so you can't do anything in CADTalk that you can't do in Business Central.
So that's important from a data integrity standpoint, right? So CADTalk makes sure that the data coming out of SolidWorks or any CAD system, when it goes into Business Central, we're going to check and validate to make sure that that data we're putting in Business Central is allowed, right? You can't make a mistake by putting the wrong data in.
Yep. And so when you're logging into your Business Central environment, not only do you get the same validation rules, but we're also grabbing that configuration of that environment. So however your environment is configured, that is how it will show in CADTalk as well.
So it's figuring out what my system, what my Business Central has, and then adjusts itself to it.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Tell me about what I'm seeing here.
Yeah, so you'll see kind of indented structure here, many different icons. CADTalk is traffic light color coded, meaning that everything that is red inside here, these don't exist inside of Business Central yet. So our stack block icon is going to represent the item in Business Central. And then you'll see kind of this page with the gear. This would be for a routing step. And then here would be our production BOM. And so the single block icon shows us the material line of that BOM. So the component line here. So we can see quantities. And then we can configure the display to show or hide as many of the properties on those as we want. And then you'll see we have some green icons. That means everything in here that came from CAD exists and matches in Business Central currently. The yellow shows items that have changed. And so any field that has changed in Business Central from the rules that we established with CADTalk are going to be highlighted as well. So I can right click on that one and I can see that the original is what's in Business Central right now. And then the current is what I'm proposing to change it to through our engineering workbench here. And so we'll see that the description gets some more information added to it.
So I see that this is showing me kind of the new parts and the new structures and bills of material I'm going to create. It also shows me what exists and what I'm changing. So that makes the changes easier, right? No more of that stare and compare that you mentioned. It's going to easily see what's being changed. I can review it here. So when I review it here, what happens to it from here? Is it in Business Central yet, or do I have to do something else?
No, not yet. So once you've reviewed here and verify that everything is accurate, now I can click the save icon, and this is going to trigger off CADTalk to create or update all those items inside of Business Central, and then you'll have this updated bill of material in Business Central.
So after I hit that save icon, it just shows up here?
Yes, so when you hit that save icon, that is doing the synchronization to update Business Central. So either creating or updating all of the items, creating or updating routing structures, and the production BOMs in this instance. So if it was through like an engineering change workflow, we would create that new version of the BOM and then make all those updates to that new version so you can keep your history inside of Business Central.
Now, do I need to do anything else in Business Central now? Do I have to like edit it or do more work on it, or because we have like manufacturing steps and operations and like maybe we want other data about our BOM for the shop floor. Do I have to do that in Business Central now?
So it would depend on your business processes. For this one, you wouldn't necessarily need to. Usually, it's a good idea to have like a review step to then change the status of that BOM so then it can be executed by MRP and all of that type of things.
Okay, so once I get it in there from CADTalk, then depending on what I need to do, I could come in here, or someone else could come in here downstream to do their steps.
Yep, exactly.
So how much how much can I do? Is it with CADTalk? Do I just simply like import the structures in the BOM, or like what? Tell us about like a story where a customer, because I know you've implemented some Business Central customers. Talk about like what are some things that people have been able to accomplish, and how much faster, what's some of the metrics they've had for improvements or speed.
Yeah, so with some of the projects that I've been on, I've been able to take the information from CAD and create a completely production ready bill of material with not having to have any manual updates inside of Business Central at all. So it is completely ready to be executed. So yeah, I've been able to do that, but then, sometimes there's requirements where they just want to get items and bombs updated, and then that will be left up to like the manufacturing engineering team to be able to maybe move some things around in the BOM, add routing sequences in a specific way. But then there's been projects that we've worked on where we've had the manufacturing engineers be the ones we work with, and we're able to enable all of those business rules that are needed through our configuration of CADTalk.
So it sounds like you can do as little or as much as you need depending on your business process and how much you want to achieve in this process, right? And of course, the more you can automate, the better the quality of the data and the speed to market. Now, so it sounds like there's lots of options here with what you've seen and what can be done.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, integrations, they're more of a journey, right? I know you and I have talked about this a million times, but not letting that perfect state get in the way of good enough to at least be able to get the majority of things complete, and eliminating as much errors and manual data entry as possible for a lot smaller lift, and then over time working towards what that perfect state could be.
Yeah, every journey starts with the first step.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Dylan. That was great to see you. I'm gonna switch back over to the slideshow here. Okay, so just kind of review what we talked about. The business benefits of CADTalk are going to be, eliminate that manual data entry, not just on importing the items in the bills, but also handling the changes, adding routings, really getting that production ready bill of material that's available. Talked about the time savings, not just for the person doing the work, but also for the downstream effects. We showed, how CADTalk can quickly go from SolidWorks in this case all the way to Business Central. So Dylan, before we open up to questions, I should ask about is SolidWorks the only thing that we do, or what else do we do besides the one we showed today?
No, we're pretty CAD agnostic, right? We work with many, many, many CAD programs, PDMs, vaulting mechanisms, and PLMs.
So if you're a manufacturing company and you have, what are some of the big names, Dylan? I know SolidWorks is one, and Autodesk Inventor is one.
Yeah, like the Autodesk suite, Inventor, AutoCAD, and then with the Siemens stuff, PTC, so Windchill, Creo, PLMs like Arena, Team Center.
Windchill.
Yep, Windchill. Yeah. So there's a lot of them.
And from time to time, spreadsheets, right? People still use spreadsheets for various reasons. They have bills of material data. Could be because their CAD only produces spreadsheets. It's like really specialized CAD, or they get. I worked on projects where they would get spreadsheets from like different departments or different even countries, right? I know one project I worked on, they got spreadsheets from Japan, and that's how they got the data, and they needed to get that into the ERP. So,
well,
Dylan, thank you.
Times. Oops,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
There's even times where the data that is received is in an XML format, or they have a database that they've set up that they need to integrate with, and so we have many capabilities with many different source files.
Right. Yeah. Well, great. Well, this is a great opportunity. We got 30 minutes in. It's a great opportunity for questions about what you saw, about how do you get started, or what kind of other questions might be available. I'll kind of open it up to any of those questions in the chat. Let's see if we have any in the chat here.
I do not see any in the chat at the moment, but I see that we have David here. David, feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions. Or if you can't unmute yourself, you feel free to. Okay, no questions.
No question.
That's great.
Great.
We did have some questions here on the that you guys sent over for me. One of them is every manufacturing business has a lot of different requirements for how they do business. Can CADTalk adapt to my specific process?
It's a good question. I'll give my thoughts first, and then maybe Dylan, you could give more like on the ground experience, both when you did integrations, when you worked in manufacturing, but also with customers. I would say that CADTalk can easily adapt because it's configurable. CADTalk has this ability to write rules around your business process. Now, with that being said, we often recommend templates that we use as a starting point to get you up and running more quickly. That way, we have done, with all the projects we have done, we have found a process that works quite well and that gets you the biggest bang for your buck. And so we try to start with those templates, get you up and running, get you the value. And then from there, of course, you can expand the solution and write your own rules or further adapt those template rules to what you need. But Dylan, maybe you have a bit more about what you typically see with what customers can do or how CADTalk adapts to their process.
Yeah. So Jeff, to your point, I mean, that is the power that we have with CADTalk, with it being a configurable platform that, that's the reason why we have it set up that way, is for it to be able to adapt and fit many different needs without having to create custom versions of CADTalk. But to Jeff's point, we try to push people to start to some of our proven templates and expand from there. So at least they get that time to value and get working really fast, while we can continue working together over the next time to enable more functions and unique to their processes.
Yeah, good question. Absolutely good question.
Awesome. Sorry. I have another question here. I'm not sure if my data is ready for an integration like this. How do I know if I can integrate my systems based on the data I currently have?
Yeah. That's a good question. That's a really good question. Dylan, I'll let you handle it. I get that's a common question.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned it earlier, where it's not about letting perfect get in the way of good enough. So most of the time, with just having simply a part number, description, and revision from CAD, you can get away with a lot and get a ton of value from just that. And then being able to refine your either CAD standards or processes through engineering change management to then enable more things in the future. But looking at it kind of as a crawl, walk, run approach, where, if we just had those three values, we could start crawling and already eliminating manual data entry and then continue working towards a better solution in the future, but at least saving you time and consistency there.
Yeah, I would add to that. If you're putting part numbers in your model today, and typically have part numbers and descriptions, the quantities are already being produced in the model when you do the design. You're going to get some benefit. So because you're typing that all manually today, and then CADTalk also has that interface. The interface that you saw Dylan work in, that interface has you can manipulate data in that interface. So even if you have to do more manual work, you you've made improvements of 30, 40% by getting the data directly, whatever data you have, out of the CAD directly. And you're saving time and effort there. Is it as much as you could do? Could it be even better? Absolutely could be better. Can always get better. But starting off with what you have, which is the basic structure and the bill of material structure, the part numbers, quantities, descriptions if you have them. Revisions would be good if you're tracking those inside the model. But I mean, I've seen, I don't know if Dylan, if you haven't, but I've seen customers that haven't had revisions. They just update, we reconcile the changes and then they apply the changes. Now, revisions would be the best practice, but it's not absolutely critical to make it work. I've seen them without it do it. So I think, Dylan, you make a good point of don't let perfect be the enemy of good, because you got to start somewhere, and getting benefit gives you the breathing room to be able to do the next thing.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. And then one more question here. How is CADTalk different from other similar solutions in the marketplace?
Yeah, good question. So I think the big thing is that, CADTalk, being that configurable intelligent solution, allows you to think of integration as a starting point, and then the ability to progress through it, to improve upon it. So CADTalk is flexible, it's configurable. You don't need to come back to CADTalk to make improvements with it, right? It is approachable. So really the idea being is that we want to enable customers and give customers the power to do what they need, rather than having to have either a custom solution or a manual solution, or to keep coming back to us to have us modify and update what their needs are, right? Because ultimately we can do that for customers, but the customers who have the best customers have sort of autonomy. So just like in SolidWorks or in CAD, you can do some easy automation. We give you the power to do that. And so in my mind, that's what makes CADTalk really beneficial, is that it can grow with you really easily and over time.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Jeff, to your point of, CADTalk being an off-the-shelf configurable product. That is what enables our customers to continue working and being able to grow with it without having to come back to us to create a custom version of it.
And what I like is every feature that we build, every new feature, every new addition, everything goes always back into the product. Every customer gets those new features. So if we release every bug that we fix, all of that always goes back into the product. So it's you're not getting a one-time fix for just you, right? The product continuously gets better. So when you're building an integration as a platform such that the product gets better because you're investing in that platform, then the customers benefit from that. And really that's the long-term value, is that as we learn more and we get better, so do we provide more value to their end customers.
Awesome. Well, if that's all the questions for today, thank you for attending this webinar. I'd also like to thank Jeff and Dylan again for presenting for us today. Once again, you can find our social media, our website, and a link to a Calendly to schedule a 30-minute meeting with one of our experts at Sabre. I hope you all have a great day, and we hope to see you again at one of our upcoming webinars.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.